The table below shows the values of an exponential function in the form f of x equals a times b to the x plus k. So this is where things are not proportional. Usually if that was a times b to the x, I'd be able to be like, multiply that by 5. But multiply that by 5 here, not the same thing. Once you add a number, it's no longer proportional over equal length input value intervals. So which of the following best represents the function? This is how I do it. You throw this in the ChatGPT or have another teacher do it. They're going to do it differently. You need to kind of find out what the behaviors are and allow that be your B first. So it looks like at first I multiply by 5, but as I do more, 15 times 5 is not 65. 15 times 4 is more like 63. 63 times 4-ish is more like 255. 255 times 4-ish is 1,023. So I'm going to let B equal 4 and go from there. So f of x is going to be a times 4 to the x plus k. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to choose a number that when I add or subtract like 1 or 2 or 3 to this number, adding or subtracting the same number allows me to say u times 4 gives me that. So I'm thinking, all right, well, what times 4 gives me a nice clean number? Well, hold on. If I made u 4, 3 plus 1 is 4. Adding 1 here makes it at 16. And 4 times 4 is 16. So what I'm going to do here is, since I added 4 to create a new table that will definitely work, because u would become 64 and 16 times 4 and what is that, 256, and that would definitely work. 124, that would definitely work. Since I added 1 to my original table to make the numbers work, going backwards means I would have to subtract 1. So k would equal -1. So now what I have is f of x equals a times 4 to the x minus 1. Now a is going to be my initial value. Okay, with this new table that I just created, my initial value occurs when x is equal to 0. So in this new table, when x was 0, I would have 4. So f of x is going to equal my initial value, which is 4, times my multiplier, which is 4, to the x minus 1. Tricky, 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 tricky.